Welcome back to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. Our mission is to share what we have learned from our experience and the experience of others to help you make more money investing like a pro. We want to teach you how to create wealth by investing in real estate the Discount Property Investor way. To jumpstart your real estate investing career, visit freewholesalecourse.com, the most complete free course on wholesaling real estate ever. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. I am your host, David Dodge. Today, I bring you Jay and Annie Adkins. We are going to talk about some creative real estate investing, as well as some other things that Jay and Annie specialize in. Jay and Annie, how are we doing today?
Good.
We're doing great.
Good to have you guys. Let's talk a little bit about the market that you're in and what you guys are working on right now. Let's start with that.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we live just east of Columbus, Ohio. So Central Ohio is our market. Anywhere from Zanesville to
Yeah, we cover about 5 counties.
west side of
roughly.
Columbus. Yeah, about
Okay.
that.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
busy.
What kind of
And-
projects are you guys working on right now? Let's talk about the projects that you guys are doing and what kind of real estate investing are you focusing on?
Okay. We just sold I would call it a slow fix and flip in Naples, Florida. We also invest in the state of Florida virtually. Well, quote unquote virtually. We fly down there as well. It's a quick, easy trip down there, but we acquired that duplex. It was a high equity list, and we acquired that through a phone call.
Mhm.
And we were able to get owner financing on that deal, 5 years, no interest, very low monthly payment. We brought in a money partner that had a self-directed 401k account, and they supplied us with $80,000 for the down payment and to fix it up. And then we rented it for a year as an Airbnb, and then Airbnb tanked there suddenly.
Briefly. With COVID.
And so we just decided that that particular property, we were going to dispose of it. And so we sold that one and
Closed them on Friday.
Closed Friday. And what was our net on that one?
About 60 between all of
About
us.
60,000.
Sweet.
We did.
I just
Yeah.
locked one up yesterday that'll make about 60. It's great.
Yeah.
Those big ones, that's a little higher than our average flip. We're usually averaging about
Ours too.
probably 30 to 40, on the high side, and
Yeah.
we just got one under contract yesterday. We'll probably clear about 62, something along those lines. So
Nice.
phenomenal
Yeah.
job, guys. That is great. I know what it takes to find those deals and to get those big checks. So you guys are crushing it. That's great. 2 markets, or is there more markets than the 2 you mentioned?
Well, we do the majority of our stuff in Ohio because that's where we're at. But
Mhm.
Yep.
we are looking at moving to Florida. I have less than 5-year plan. Our
Awesome.
youngest will be 18 in less than 5 years. So, and she knows we're already out the door.
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds like you guys are already taking advantage of, learning that market, and your vacations are tax write-offs at this point. So
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
got the best of both worlds, guys. I like it. So I want to talk with you guys today about, some of the creative financing that you guys are doing and using. My business is primarily cash offer for houses. That's basically what we do.
Mhm.
I have found that I am lazy. Let's put it that way. And it just makes sense to just be a cash offer guy and to quit chasing deals. I've kind of found that, it's like the 80-20 principle, right? 80% of the deals are going to give you 20% of the profits. They're just going to be a pain. You're going to be chasing them.
Right.
And you end up chasing a deal out of a deal's territory, right? Whereas 20% of the deals that come in typically are going to be the 80% of the profit.
Mhm.
So about a year and a half, 2 years ago, maybe even a little longer ago, but not that long, a couple years, I kind of had the mindset shift of, let's just quit chasing all these deals. It'll be way less work. And let's just give a crazy amount of convenience to those who are willing to give us a crazy amount of discount, and just kind of keep it like that. So with that being said, no way, there's no right or wrong way to do real estate, which is awesome. There's a million ways.
Yeah.
But I'm just kind of lazy, and I just said, let's just spend a little bit more on our marketing and just kind of chase the bigger deals. But you guys are actually offering a lot more convenience than I am. I'm offering a couple key points, right? I offer cash, I offer quick, and I offer as is. And that's really it. And I exchange that for a discount, and I know my value. I guess that's kind of the thing that I understood after, a couple years, is that why would I want to go offer some crazy amount of convenience to somebody when they're not willing to give me a discount? Like, I know my value. It's convenience. Like, as an investor, we provide liquidity to the market. That's really it. Otherwise, the seller would go put it on the MLS and they wouldn't sell it to me, right?
Yeah.
So last year, we're not on pace this year because of COVID, but last year we bought around 95 houses. And I didn't need to buy any of those houses, not one. But I did because I saw 95 opportunities, right? So I make that very clear to the seller. And I just say, hey, here's what I'm willing to pay. Hopefully we can do business. And, I don't chase the deals anymore. But because of that mindset, it's rare that I'll want to even talk creative with people, because I'm really looking for those big discounts, right? But you guys have a whole different approach. And again, there's no right or wrong way. And that's why I'm happy to have you guys on, because I just like to hear different perspectives and different sides of things. But it sounds to me like you guys are making offers that have a lot of different options for people, and you're getting creative and you're using terms. So yeah, I yield the floor to you all. I want to hear a little bit about that side of your business.
Awesome. Yeah. We find that there are a lot of people that have a significant amount of equity, but they don't have the skill set to repair the property. Annie and I also own a construction company, so that's pretty convenient for us to be able to come in and rehab properties. But a lot of the sellers also aren't good at screening. Like, most of the creative deals that we pick up are from landlords.
Yeah, that are just tired of the property itself, or tired of the landlord lifestyle kind of thing, or whatever you want to call it, just worn out and exhausted from having to fix up the house every time somebody moves out and not knowing if they're going to stay for the entire lease or what have you.
So what kind of things are you guys working out with these landlords to make the deal creative?
We just ask we try to keep it simple, otherwise they get confused. And we just ask them, would you be interested in payments for your equity, or letting us pay you over time for the property? Just keep it in simple English like that. And if they're receptive to it, then we try to work out price and a monthly payment that is agreeable for us and for them. And we're usually still getting a property discounted as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think the last 4 rental properties that we've acquired, that we either have as straight rentals or as rent option lease option purchases, have been just tired landlords or people that just have a property that they have no idea what to do with at this point. And we've offered that as an out to them, and it's a win-win for everybody involved.
Got it. So it sounds like you guys are buying on owner financing. Are you buying on lease option and or sub 2 as well?
Yeah, we're usually doing sub 2 or land contract typically.
Okay, sub 2 and land contract. Good to know.
Yeah.
Now, whenever you guys are acquiring, do you flip these properties? Do you rent these properties? Do you sell them on owner financing? Do you sell them on lease option as well? Are you doing the creative on on not only the front end, but also the disposition end?
Typically, yeah.
Yeah, Annie and I have basically lease optioned all of those properties.
Out on the sale side.
Yeah, except one.
Mhm.
There's one that's a regular rental to college students, but the rest of them we have done an option to buy for
Mhm.
a tenant buyer.
Yeah.
And that enables us to get a nice chunk of money down. And they're responsible for repairs. So any improvements or anything that they're doing is on their end. And so it keeps it very low cost for us to manage and run our rental portfolio. And if they buy it, great. We made an awesome profit. We can usually make 35 or 40 on a deal like that instead of, like you said, David, typically we'll be seeing 25 to 35,000 on a typical flip.
Yeah.
But in this instance, we can usually get 3,000 to 5,000 down, make 350 to 500 a month cash flow, and then at the end, if and when they buy it, we can profit 35 to $40,000 on it.
I love it. How long have you guys been doing this?
Oh, geez.
Uh,
We've been in real estate since 2000.
2001,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we just started doing we haven't been doing the creative stuff that long.
How long have you guys been doing the
No.
creative stuff?
We've been doing that about 8 or 9 years.
Got it. How
Yeah.
many people have executed the lease option on the dispo side?
Not as many as you would think.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but this brings up a good point because it's a win-win either way.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're building equity in these properties while they're trying to buy it, and if they buy it, great. They're paying a premium, but you've offered them a level of convenience, like I talked about earlier, that's
Yep.
above any bank would offer. So it's a win-win, right?
Yeah.
And if they
Yeah, and-
don't exercise that option, like you said, you got money down, you're cash flowing, and it sounds to me like in a lot of these incidences, you didn't even have to buy the property or put your money down. You may even have it on a sub-2 or on a lease option or an owner finance type of
Yep.
play. So you guys are doing it a lot different than me, but I think it's
Yeah.
great because both of us are finding success with this. So I think
Absolutely.
that's the reason I approached it the way that I did. It may have been weird on your guys' end for me to ask those questions in that order, but I was getting to the point here. And that is that I'm always trying to provide a crazy amount of value to the listeners. So if
Yeah.
you are listening, guys, and you want to do the cash offer approach, that's great. If you want to do this seller financing sub-2 creative, which has a whole different lots of things involved, that's great too. Just kind of figure out what you like to do, find that niche and run with it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The way I look at it is, I have all these tools in my belt. So of course, if I see value in a property after I make my cash offer that may work, we'll slide in or we'll even wholesale. This is one of my favorite things to do is to wholesale that deal to an individual like you guys that, I can make a couple grand for basically the referral,
Yep.
and then somebody else that's more experienced in the contracts and the terminology, as well as the process of, maybe lease optioning a property for 3 years, remodeling that property, then selling it on a lease option, right? And doing all those things. They may have the systems in place because they're doing others and it's easier for them, right? So I guess
Yep.
the point that I'm trying to make here to the listeners and the viewers is, there's so many ways to make a profit in real estate and make a win-win scenario. That's really what it comes down to, is win-win scenarios. So I love it, guys. So you guys have been doing this for almost a decade with the creative side.
Yep.
You're having tons of success. You have a portfolio of about 30, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
that is awesome. A lot of people that are listening to this, have anywhere between 0 and 4 or 5, I would say. My average listener, has a couple. They don't typically have a lot. So when we can show people that it's possible that they can get to 30 or 50 or, my goal is 150, right?
Yeah.
We can get there. It is achievable and it's possible. So let's talk a little bit about, some other deals that you guys have done recently. You told us about the one that you guys just closed on down in Florida. And also let's talk a little bit about some of the marketing that you guys are doing to find these deals. I was talking on the last podcast that I just did right before this one, about the little to no money out of pocket real estate, and there's a catch. nobody wants to talk about the catch.
Right.
But the catch is that it's time and money invested into the marketing, right? The leads aren't free, right? Buying a $700,000 house or controlling it with the contract and selling the paperwork may not cost a nickel, right? You may be able to do that with none of your own money. So that's where the little to no money out of pocket real estate comes in. We do it all the time, but we also spend thousands of dollars a month on marketing and lead generation, right? So I'm curious to hear what you guys are doing to generate those leads. And also I want to be transparent with the listeners and the viewers, that it's either time or money or both that you have to invest, right?
Yeah.
Doing the deal, right? This is the thing that no one talks about. Doing the deal doesn't require a whole lot of money typically, if any, but getting the deal on your table, that's where the cost comes in.
Yeah.
So what kind of marketing? Let's start there. What kind of marketing are you guys doing?
So primarily our paid marketing is we're buying lists, okay? And then
Where are you buying your lists?
We have an individual that we buy lists from, and I can connect you with him.
Why do you use an individual and not a nationwide data distributor?
Well, this gentleman here is has about 20 years of data experience, and he is with a company where they primarily pulled data initially for auto companies, but they do very specialty lists, like all the way down to we helped one of our students get a list that was people that own a house within 50 miles of a lake, that it's their second home, and they have a net worth of at least $250,000. So you can, from an individual like that, you can get extremely detailed drilled down lists as opposed to a more generic one that we've purchased before, like from List Source. We've bought a number of lists from List Source. And
before. Those leads aren't necessarily bad from List Source or other companies like that, but they're more generic, like Jay said. So they're wider used, they're on more people's lists and specific drilled down.
No, that makes perfect sense. I was just curious. I was just asking, I typically get all my lists from PropStream at this point.
Okay.
I used to use List Source a ton. I basically made the move over to PropStream because it's simple and it's easy. And, I dial in the ones that I want. There are a couple lists, not many, one or two, that my virtual assistants will manually build. And then we drive for dollars. I think driving for dollars is probably the best and my most favorite way to find my leads. Because those houses may or may not be on the PropStream or the List Source list. They may or may not be on your lists, right? Typically you build your own, and they could be. That's the thing. Like they may or may not be, right? The odds of them are lower though, right? So driving for dollars is one of my favorite ways to go out and find property. So it sounds like you guys are pulling lists. And then what do you do when you get those lists? What's your means of marketing?
We are skip tracing those folks, and then we do cold calls, and then we also do some text campaigns as well.
Let's talk about that real quick because we do it too. I'm just kind of curious on what services you're using, how it's done, and like the frequencies. So where are you skip tracing your lists? Let's start there.
So the gentleman that we buy the data from also provides phone numbers and emails. Something else to consider that we haven't tried yet is we were thinking about loading the list to Facebook and trying to find a lookalike audience in our area. So that's something that we're looking into doing, but we have not done that as of yet. But he provides the phone numbers and we load them into Mojo. We have a virtual assistant that calls for us.
Yep, Mojo's good. Mojo's good. We've used it in the past, of course. Yep.
Yeah.
And how about the cold texting? You had mentioned that as well. What service do you use for that?
We have REI Simple that we use.
RE Simply or REI Simple?
REI Simple. It's
okay.
Joe McCall's version of
It's a CRM and
Yeah, I forget. Freedom Soft.
Soft,
His
yeah.
version
Gotcha.
of Freedom
Okay.
Soft.
Awesome.
So yeah, it has a CRM and has texting and email blast capabilities. So we use that for that portion of it.
Awesome,
the VA
guys.
for
I
cold
love it.
calling.
Yep.
We drive for dollars and we do bandit signs and we do all of that stuff too.
Yep.
Yeah,
see,
bandit signs are still effective.
Yep, absolutely. So, I'm very similar. We get our lists from PropStream. We do our skip tracing at batch leads.
Okay.
I like batch leads a lot because it also does our cold texting, and it does list stacking, right? So it does three things. I can get I can get my leads from anywhere. If I wanted to go to Listability or List Source versus PropStream, that's fine, or even a third party like your guy, right? I used to get US lead lists, but they were just too expensive. I wasn't seeing the return.
Yeah.
I just figured more was better, and it turned out it was. So, but I'm doing the same thing. I like batch leads because it does three things, right? It does the skip tracing. It can push the campaign for the texting, and it does list stacking. And if you're not familiar with list stacking, I don't like to go out and buy super crazy large lists. Instead, I'd like to get lots of little lists. And then what happens is the software will show you the entries or the names and the addresses that are on multiple lists. So then those are the people that we spend our time really trying to get, right? So if somebody has high equity, but they also, have back taxes and maybe code violations, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be a lot more likely to sell to me than just high equity, right? So when they're on multiple lists, it allows you to see, this is the 80-20 principle at its finest here, guys. So I love it. If anyone's listening and they want to check out batch leads, the owner's a good friend. He's hooked me up with a code to give you guys. You go to batchleads.io/Dave, DAVE. You can try it out for $1 for 14 days. And it gives you 500 text messages as well. So if anyone's listening and they want to test it out, that's what I use. We also use Mojo and another dialer as well, but it's the same thing, right? You guys had mentioned bandit signs. We do bandit signs. I'm staring at about 300 of them right now. We do radio advertisements. We do direct mail. And from time to time, we'll do some online stuff. It's getting very expensive with Google AdWords, so we've cut that. Facebook, we never really had much success with, to be honest. But we do the cold calling, the cold texting, the radio, the mailers, the bandit signs. We do all these things because they work, right?
Right.
And if you are new, and I'm sure you guys can agree, and you teach your students the same, but when you are new and you do a bandit sign campaign, you may get a couple calls. You may not get that many, right? You may get a ton. And you may not get a deal out of that, though, but you got calls, right? And you just, it all comes down to consistency, right? People come to me and they say, does direct mail work? Well, yes, of course. It's one of my favorite ways to get leads, but it's expensive. And, you got to be consistent with it. So it's going to work as well as you work it. And it's the same with all the other forms of advertising. They all work. It's just, are you willing to invest enough to make it work and or be consistent, and continue to do those things? That's why I think radio, guys, is my #1 favorite way to advertise.
I was going to ask you about that.
#1, because here's why. It's very easy to be consistent when someone else is doing it.
Yeah,
I can't
good point.
fuck that up. Pardon my language. This is an explicit podcast, so we can cuss if you want. But I don't fuck that up. I pay the bill, right? So it's beautiful because it's not list dependent.
Yeah.
It's really not. So, you can look at marketing in a lot of different ways. And one way is list dependent or non-list dependent. And most marketing is list dependent. Bandit signs are not, television's not, billboards are not, radio falls in that category. It's not list dependent, right? Yep. And one of the main things that I teach my students is consistency. I don't care if you can only cold call for 30 minutes a day, but you need to do it 4 to 5 days a week. Otherwise, it's going to take you 3 months to do a deal. Otherwise, let's try to get you one in 2-3 weeks or sooner, right? It's consistency. So the radio takes the failing of consistency out. You just pay the bill. Someone else is doing it. They put those ads out there. Another thing that I like about the radio is it broadcasts so far away, right? So, you know, I'm in the St. Louis market. It's basically 40 or 50 miles in every direction. I don't want those houses out on the perimeter, but guess what? I have a network of people that do. So when those leads come in, it's like, boom, here, wholesale, right? We always market for houses that we want to buy to fix up or houses that we want to own as rentals. Always. We never market for wholesale. However, we do 5 to 10 wholesales a month because we all have a simple philosophy or a simple motto, and that is buy the best, sell the rest.
Yeah.
Keep the best. Another way to word it is keep the best.
Exactly. Right.
Sell the rest. It's it. It's that simple, guys. So when it comes to marketing for motivated sellers, again, I'm not trying to take over here. I want to talk to you guys and interview you guys, but there's so much value here, right? All marketing works if you're consistent.
Right.
So and the thing about radio is I don't have a big budget, guys. I spend $2,000 a month on the radio, you know, which may seem like a crazy amount of money to some people. And we used to spend 4 or 5, but we've scaled it back. And it just, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be a crazy amount of money, but it's enough. And especially once that ad is on the radio for 6 months or a year, you don't have to spend a ton because people have started to hear that ad 10, 20, 30 times. And they don't have to hear it 4 times a week. They may only need to hear it once a week to keep you on the top of their mind. So love it.
So how long have you done radio, David?
About 1.5 years.
And how many deals have you got from that source?
So with a $2,000 marketing spend, we are generating about 20 calls per station a week. I'm sorry, 10 calls per station a week. So 20 calls a week. So 2, 4, 6, 8, that's 80 calls a month that I'm getting for about 2,000. So if you do the math on that, 2,000 divided by 80, that's costing me about $25 a phone call, which if you compare that to AdWords, you're going to spend 4 to 5 times that typically, at least in my market, to get a click. And that click doesn't, or I should say to get a lead. So I'm getting 4 to 5 times my money. Now, one might also argue that it's more or less targeted. That's fine. But in my commercial, in my advertisement, I don't say, call me if you have a house that you want to sell. I don't say that. I say, call me if you have a house that you need to sell. I want the trashy ones. The tenant won't pay me to rent houses. You know, I'm not marketing for anybody to call me or that I'm renting property. I don't want people to call me that are looking for rentals. That's not the message. The message is literally, hey, is it on fire? Is it falling down? You know, will you take pennies on the dollar for it? Call me. And that's the guy, right? So that's the message. So by you know, zeroing in the marketing, it definitely helps. And to answer your question, I know I've been word vomiting here, but to answer your question, you know, we get, you know, several deals a month from our marketing efforts. So, you know, one deal more than double to triple pays back the marketing, and the other 2 or 3 that we get is just profit. So I absolutely love it. And again, as long as you pay your bill or have a credit card synced to it, you can't screw this up.
Right.
Right? Record a 30-second or 60-second advertisement. And, you know, we still hit lists, right? But this is a non-list dependent. So if somebody hears my ad and they're on one of the lists, again, I'm stacking. And that's where you find that motivation. And if they're not, they still hear it, right? So it's just another form. And, you know, consistency is really the message. That's the main thing. You know, like with bandit signs or with mail, you got to do it. You can't be lazy. You can't, you know, you got to do it. So this automates it. So that's why I personally think it's one of the better ways of going about marketing.
Yeah, I just thought I'd ask because
we've never done radio.
We haven't done it, and $2,000 might seem a lot to some of your listeners, but if you think about if you got more than one deal a month, I mean, it's paid for the whole year in one month.
Paid for the whole year, right? So you know, we're looking at anywhere between $25 and $40 a call, and you average it out over the good weeks and the bad weeks, right? But you know, let's talk about direct mail. If you send 100 letters, you know, 100 letters is going to cost you $50 to $60. You know, you're going to maybe get one call, maybe, right? It's 1 to 2%,
maybe
you know?
one call.
So you're actually going to spend a little more on mail than you will
Overall.
on the radio, right? So AdWords is the most
Yeah.
expensive. Mail's probably
Yeah.
next. Then maybe bandit signs. I've found that the cost per lead is one of the cheapest with radio.
With radio.
So just an
Cool.
FYI to anyone
That's good
listening,
to know.
it's a great
Yeah.
way to get it going, and it's a great way to automate your marketing, especially for those that maybe will do this part-time or are trying
Yeah.
to
Right.
quit their job.
That's a good point.
That's
Yep.
the hardest, to be consistent with marketing when you have, I don't even have kids, right? But let's say you throw a couple kids in the mix, right? You got a part-time or even a full-time job. You're doing real estate part-time. You got children.
Yeah.
There is no freaking time in the day to go hang signs or handwrite letters. So unless you have a budget to do it, it's not getting done. And with the radio, you can
Yeah.
just pay the bill, turn it on, record the ad. And the ad that I use, guys, I've recorded 2 sets, one for each station with different numbers, so I can, of course, track where that's coming from. But that's it. You know,
Yeah.
18 months off of one ad. It just keeps repeating. I don't have to keep doing additional
nice.
work. So I highly
Yes.
suggest you looking into it. It's a great way to
Awesome.
market. Love it. So before we wrap up today here, let's talk a little bit about what you guys are focusing on and what you're working on, and then also how people can get in touch with you.
Okay.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, we are focusing on, for 2020, since it's been so crazy since the jump of it, we have decided to focus on our coaching program more than anything. But by the same token, by focusing on our coaching program, we're also focusing on wholesaling some deals to students of ours if we don't find it
Yep.
not good enough, but
We partner with a lot
Yeah.
of students.
Yeah, you want
on
to
their
make sure
first
that the
deal.
value is being provided. I get that.
Yeah.
completely.
Exactly,
We do
yeah.
that with our students as well. I mean, it's
Yep.
it's
Yeah.
actually one of the best ways to help the student too, because
Yeah.
once they see you do it and take 40-50% of the profit, it
Right.
motivates them to not want to pay that out again.
deals.
And I'm not saying that in a negative way. This is actually a good thing. I did
Yeah.
it in the beginning. I brought partners in. My first wholesale deal, the very first deal that I did was a 2-house deal, and there was a $24,000 profit split, and I got 12.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Great deal. Great first
Right.
deal.
Yeah.
But it motivated me to go find the buyer
Yeah.
on my own.
Yeah.
Right? I wasn't upset about paying 12 grand. I made 12 grand.
Right.
Yeah.
But the next deal I did, I didn't have to do that. So it's like holding hands, joint venturing is one of the best ways to help
Yeah.
students. Let's
Yeah.
hear about the program, guys. I'm excited to hear about what you guys are offering. And you guys have a lot of information and a lot of knowledge about all these creative things, which I
Yeah.
think will help a lot of people.
Yeah. Thanks. We have Jay and Annie Adkins.com is our website.
Yeah.
And we have training for the stuff that we specialize in, the fix and flip, how to acquire rentals and properly fix them and screen them. And but we do a unique format. Ours is more of a mastermind group, and we actually meet 3 times a year and help each other with everybody in the group helps one another with their businesses. And we focus on not just real estate, but life goals also.
Yeah.
Mine, reading books and working out and just keeping yourself in top performance.
So it sounds like you guys have a coaching mastermind mix.
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's a great
Yeah.
approach. It's more than just getting somebody in and giving them all the information and kind of letting them go, because oftentimes
Yeah.
there's no accountability there. But by
Yeah.
having the mastermind and building the relationship,
Yeah.
it creates a better win-win in my opinion. So I love that. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people that are moving to that kind of approach.
Yeah.
I'm in several masterminds. I'm in some that are just like that, and I'm in some
Yeah.
others, and they both have their values, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I really like the ones where we get together and we meet with the people that are in the group, even if it's only once a year, but 2, 3, 4 times a year are awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Love that. That's great.
We-
How can people find that? They go to jayandannieadkins.com.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can do that. We're on Facebook. We're
on Facebook.
Twitter. We're all over the
We get a lot of deals from Facebook. That's a great free organic way to get deals. Just post about real estate on there, and we just post about our deals, and we get a lot of referrals that way.
I love it. I love it, guys. What what are you guys working on right now? Are you trying to build the portfolio? Are you working on trying to find that flip? Are you really just trying to secretly take vacations to Florida? Like, what are you focusing on this week? I'm just curious.
This week, it's the vacation to Florida. We leave on Friday.
I'm leaving Wednesday, so I'll be down there with you guys. I love it.
And then, but for 2020, we're focusing more on education, just educating anybody that is interested, really. And then obviously we offer the high level mastermind that we just spoke of, but
we're doing
and we're
flips.
always looking for deals. That's what I was going to say. We're always looking for flips.
We just got a deal in Columbus
yeah.
that we're going to fix and flip.
I love it.
And really any deal that we come across, we kind of look at it and say, you know, is this a flip project? Is this a buy and hold project? Is it, you know what I mean? And kind of just depends on what the house and the situation and the seller is.
Neighborhood.
So we kind of just take all of that into consideration. So it's always, we're looking for a deal, but whether that deal is going to end up being a flip or a buy and hold or a wholesale, it just kind of depends on the property.
Just kind of depends. Yep. And I love it. And, you know, we have students that will bring us deals all the time.
Yep.
And we'll actually pay them a wholesale fee because we may want the deal, right? Or they may not see deals in deals, right? That may came out right. Maybe sounds confusing, but you know, they may not see a deal in a property. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you know, we may, or vice versa. So joint venturing in the beginning is one of my favorite ways to help people and teach them. And I can see that you guys are obviously doing that too. So guys, if you are listening, if you are watching, go over to JayandAnnieAdkins.com, learn more about the coaching program, learn more about their mastermind. And it sounds like they have a good hybrid of both of those, their coaching and mastermind. It sounds like something that would really benefit and be of great value if you are looking into the creative financing approach. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I love it. Guys, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I'm grateful for your time. I'm grateful for the value that you were able to share and add to the show today. Anything you guys want to end with? Any parting words for our audience today?
Stay at it. Just keep making offers.
Consistency.
Tell everybody that you are a real estate investor.
Don't be shy.
That's right, guys. Stay at it. Consistency is the name of the game. This business is incredibly simple, but it's not easy. And again, I'm very blunt about this. I'm transparent. It's incredibly simple, but it's not easy. It can often be difficult. But getting yourself a coach, working with another investor, partner in JVing, makes it not hard, right? It makes it easy. And then it becomes simple and easy. And that's when it becomes fun. Right? When you're getting paid, having fun, and you're able to teach others. I absolutely love it. Guys, thanks again for coming on the show. Again, grateful for your time, grateful for your knowledge and your value. We will be back with another episode in 2 days. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, David.
Signing off.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to help us reach a wider audience. To jumpstart your real estate investing career, please visit freewholesalecourse.com, the most complete free course on wholesaling real estate ever. We would also appreciate it if you left us a review on iTunes or Stitcher. Thank you in advance for your support, and remember, you make your money when you buy, and you get paid when you sell. Now let's go build some wealth.